There.
Ellie wants to know, why can I have this world and the next world? Okay. I'll give you a second answer in a second. The first answer is like this. A person who knows what the next world is, and he knows what this world is, he doesn't care about having it. Like for instance, I told you can have a whole ocean to swim in, or I can give you a drop on your fingertip. And you said to me, why can't I have both? Who cares about the drop on your fingertip?
I don't know. It feels more like a drop.
That's the whole point. That's why this world. That's why Rav Nachman is saying you need to remember Olam Haba, because this world is made in such a way as to make this look like it's all that there is, and there's nothing after. Because this is the greatest concealment of godliness. But in truth, Rav Nachman says this is the foot of the feet of the feet of the feet of the feet. Of the revelation of Hashem.
What's the second answer?
Second answer is that the way to have both is laid out in the Torah by Yaakov Avinu. That the way to attain both is to focus only on the next, and through that to have the first. But Yaakov is not interested in this world. He got it because he didn't care anymore. You hear what I'm saying? Yaakov only got this world as well. Moshe only got this world as well. Abraham only got this world as well when they stopped caring about this world. That's when they got it.
That's the thing what you can't have, what you don't want always goes after.
Just like we learn elsewhere in Likutey Maharan, when does a Jew start to get a lot of honor from other Jews? When he doesn't want it anymore. Only when he stops caring about it. And this isn't a concept of hard to get. Okay.
So the less you want this world, the more Hashem gives it to you?
The potential raises for Hashem giving it to you. But if you really don't want it, you're not even concerned about it.
Because then you have the right tools to use them the right way.
Yeah. Okay. So what was the first reason that Rav Nachman is teaching us? Don't look for Hashem everywhere. Only look for Hashem.
Because you said it might be too much for him to handle, and therefore, like the Pardes situation.
Yes, like the Pardes situation. But also, Rav Nachman is saying on a very simple level, wherever Hashem is in this world, the Sitra Achra is right there. Always lurking around it. Wherever you find Kedusha, you find the opposite. So therefore you need to be very careful for where you look for God. Because even though Hashem is in the strip club, even though Hashem is in the vision that you're going to have on your LSD trip, okay, because Hashem is everywhere, at the same time, there is a very, very intense level of Sitra Achra in these activities, and therefore, on your trip towards trying to experience God in your life in those places, you're much more likely to end up getting swallowed up by the other side. So therefore, Rav Nachman is saying, right, you might think to yourself, now that I know that the whole reason I exist today is to find the thought and the word and the action in every place, in every moment, so why don't I just go try and explore anything, because it's there. Rav Nachman says, don't do that. It's very dangerous. That's the first. And as a result, it is a dangerous situation, therefore a person needs to be content only with necessities, because the klipot feeds on excess. The second reason is that there is a higher service in this, one which is on a higher level than holiness. A person has to serve Hashem with those higher and more holy forms of Kedusha. Meaning what? Torah, Tefillah, Mitzvot, X, Y, and Z. This is the main vehicle through which a person should be trying to find the thought, the word, and the action. In other words, even a tzaddik whose mind is so great that he can understand all the hints that are sent to him every day, he's saying that this is possible, even in mundane matters, so that because of this he can serve Hashem with whatever exists in the world, even with these mundane matters, then as a result, God forbid, he will only want to occupy himself with the mundane matters, since he knows that the hints they contain, he can come closer to Hashem through them. But the truth is otherwise, because it's forbidden to increase one's involvement with the matters of this world, even if a person can get to Hashem through this. Meaning he's saying, don't not go to these places because Hashem's not there. He's not saying that. He is there. He's saying, and if you were at a certain level, you could hop it there. He's saying don't go there because that's excess.
That's what Hashem told Adam.
Okay, good.
You don't want him to go to these places.
Right.
He wants you to go to a place where it's empty.
Right.
That's all.
Okay. Therefore, there's a pasuk. You know what I'm saying? There's a pasuk. It says that tzaddik, he eats to satiate himself, but the belly of the wicked is always lacking. Meaning, what is the difference between a person who's connected to Hashem and a person who's not? A person who's hungry doesn't have God, and a person who's content, he has. Why? Because contentment.
Then that means a person who doesn't really have goals, no?
And what's the goal? What do you mean if you're content? So people always have this question when they come to this class. You're saying if I'm happy with what I have, I'm not really excelling for something more? Okay. So we're saying like this. According to the Torah, whatever you have physically, you should be completely satiated. But spiritually, you should be always looking to grow. That's where your growth should be at. Does that make sense? That's where you're growing. And through the spiritual growth, the physical will come with you. But it shouldn't be the goal. The goal should not be physical growth. The goal should be spiritual growth. So now I'm going to explain to you a very deep thing. Why is this so important that you have to be content with what you have? Okay. The answer is like this. For you to receive Hashem's blessing in your life, you first need to say die to a physical matter. You first need to say enough to something physical. Why is that the case? Because the quality of Yesod, which is the step which leads to the revelation of God in your life, right before that, right? Malchut is this world, Yesod is right above it. How does what's in Yesod transfer to this world, meaning to your life? You have to say, die.
When you go under this, right?
You have to say enough. Where do we learn this? When Hashem created the world, He said, die, enough. Why? Because the world would have continued to expand on and on and on and on, and then there would be no world to actually exist in because it would never stop. It would just be infinite. It would just continue to become infinite, right? So therefore, when does the world begin? When Hashem said enough. In our life, it's the same way.
Meaning Hashem created the world already, but because He didn't say enough, it's still going.
Yeah, it's still going, and therefore you can't receive it yet.
It's not in reality yet.
Yes, and you can't receive it yet. When can you receive it? Only when He said enough. Why did Hashem make it like that? Because that's the same system for us. Even if you pray for something very intensely every day, and Hashem gives it to you, and it comes down through Keter, Chochmah, Bina, Yasib, and it gets to Yesod, until you say enough to physicality, meaning that you don't engage in excess, it's never going to pass through Yesod. Because Yesod requires you to say enough, die, and that's why it's the Brit. Because the Brit is the essence of where you could be engaging in excess. And the whole concept of the Brit Milah is to remove the excess, is to say die, it's to say enough.
The only part of your body that is born with excess.
Right. So we said that before also. Does that make sense? That's why, for instance, I told you guys in the past, there are times I notice that when I'm working, I'm not eating more than what I need, and then all of a sudden people around me start to give me money. I've noticed this many times. That, like, let's say I start working on my eating, like instead of eating 2 bagels, I only eat 1, even though I want to eat 2 bagels very badly, but I know that I only need 1. So I notice sometimes when I only eat the 1, which is me saying die, that's enough, so I'm accessing Yesod, and now blessing, which is waiting for me, is able to drop down to me because I said enough. And now all of a sudden some random guy comes to me and tells me, hey, I have some money that I raised for you. Some people want to give it. They want to give it to someone who learns in Kola, like a completely random person who never ever gave me money. I have no connection to really. It doesn't make sense. And what's the reason? Because I only eat 1 bagel.
How do you know that's the reason?
Because the Torah teaches, Rav Nachman is teaching that when you want to receive blessing in your life, when you want to receive shefa, you must first say die.
Yeah, but how do you know it's not just because of sugar? How do they give it to you? Not definitely because of the bagel.
So I'm explaining that whatever it is, there had to be a physical expression of contentment before you get what you get. Whether it's the bagel or something else.
Even last time when he ate 2 bagels, he didn't get the money. So you only ate
Yeah, I
2
understand,
bagels.
but he's saying, how do you know it's not that, something else? I don't know. But I know for sure that I had to be content at some point. You need to express physical
You
contentment.
need to limit yourself in order to receive unlimited.
Yeah, that is the whole game. That's the whole game. So when you're limiting yourself physically, don't think to yourself, as I'm giving you guys cake, don't think to yourself, here we go, I'm limiting myself, this sucks, Know that the only way to receive everything you want is through limitation.
So why shouldn't we fast every day like Ramadan? Every day though.
Because that could also be
See, like
excess.
you
Why
said,
is that
guys, no more.
It looks very holy what he just did, but you don't realize he's the only one who ate this
That's
entire
not
thing of
true.
cake. And then at the very end, he said, okay, fine.
Wait.
Die. Enough. Okay. Let's do a social experiment, guys. Okay, let's do a social experiment. I want that tomorrow each of you should take an aspect of your life that you know that you engage in physical excess. Something beyond what you need, whether it's food, whether it's wasting seed, whether it's whatever it is that you are engaging in. Let's say that.
What about work?
Yeah, for sure. That's the number one.
Work is for sure work.
Work, yeah, also. Something that you engage in excess that's physical. And I want you to try and limit that to just what you need. And I want you to see if anything happens to you.
How do you know when it's enough?
That's a great question. You mean specifically with work?
In general.
I mean, food, okay, you can limit yourself. You take 2 less extra bites, or a slice less.
So what's another example?
Let's say work.
Yeah.
It's not working
Well, let's say working out.
Work 6 hours.
How would you know?
How many hours do you work a day? Difference.
On an average.
On average. You have an average of really it's
3-4
completely
hours.
different every day. Give me a range.
6 to 10.
6 to 10. Let's say anything beyond 8 is
Well,
more.
your mind is always working though.
Okay, let's say more than 8 is more than you need. How do I? Anything more than 8 is excess. How do I know that?
Isn't even 1 hour excess?
No. How do I know that? Because the most lenient opinion about how much a person should work is the Rambam, and he says 8 hours. And he says for the rest of those 8 hours that you're up for the day, you should be learning, and then for 8 hours you should be sleeping.
What if you really need more?
But
When's the time for your
But
wife?
the 8 it says in Pirkei Avot, it says in Pirkei Avot to limit the amount of time that you spend with your wife.
They say 10
What?
Says
Limit the time?
10 to 20 minutes, you saw that?
People say that.
Who's they? are you married? Okay, good.
I don't want to point out any things, but
Okay.
they say 10, 20
can you do me a
quality
favor?
minutes with your life is more than enough.
I would love to know.
No quality, no fun.
Oh, yeah.
A woman nowadays, my
Do me a
brother, that's not
favor.
enough.
Do me a
man.
favor. Call
not
your wife.
enough.
Don't let her know that we're all here. Say,
You would know.
are you happy with the 10 minutes I spent with you a day? I want to see what she says. What do you think?
My
not
wife
gonna say
works with
anything.
me,
I'm
so-
kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just
His
joking.
wife works anyways.
The truth is, quality is obviously much more important than the
Quantity.
Than the quantity, for sure, it's true. Okay. I don't know what the amount is that you need to spend with your wife. Whatever it is, that's not the concept of physical needs. Okay. When we're talking about physical needs, even talking, right? When you're about to speak,
It says don't speak to your wife excessively.
forget about your wife.
Or any person.
When you're about to open your mouth, I want you to ask yourself, do I need to say what I'm about to say?
Person has a certain amount of words he says in his lifetime, right? A quota, like a person has.
Forget about that. Listen to what I'm saying. When you're in the middle of a conversation, sometimes like, wow, it'd be really good if I went back to work right now, but I'm going to continue to talk about nothing with this person. Right? So watch yourself, check yourself before you wreck yourself, and ask yourself, do I need to say what I'm about to say? This is very hard for me, by the way. This is also a concept of limiting excess. Okay?
Okay.
Speech.
How about if you're so honest that like Maybe you hurt people sometimes.
No, so you don't want to hurt anybody. I'm talking about within
But
the...
you don't mean to hurt people.
So I'm saying within the realms of normal. You ever notice that there's some people that just don't stop talking?
Manic.
So for them, if they spoke less than that, nobody's gonna think like, wow, that's offensive. They had a normal conversation with me. That was the end of it, right? I'm in the middle of learning. Benjamin comes in and he starts talking to me. So no, I'm just saying, you're the only one who comes in. So let's say.
You're using me excessively.
Okay, so I need to limit my examples with Ben to receive Parnasa, right?
For you or for me?
No, for me. Also for you. So he comes in and we have a conversation. So let's say we really only need to speak for a few minutes about whatever but we just start chatting it up, water cooler talk. So this is excess. We don't need to do this. This is also a concept of excess. But to say enough so that I can go back to learning, that's the concept of die.
Right.
It's good. So we all need to say die.
Not physically.
Say with me.
Die.
By the way, you should know that
Sound like a Muslim.
when my wife, I didn't know Hebrew, obviously, and my wife was always on the phone saying, die. I'm like, whoa, my wife is very violent, Obviously, I realized it means enough, later on, but not originally. I'm sure my family had like a whole, and kept saying to my kid, die, stop.
It used to be song
You
about
thought
that.
she was saying die? Like,
I mean, what else would you think she was saying? What else would you say? Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so therefore, for a person to receive that shefa, right, we created a unity. How do we create a unity? With having our mind on Olam Haba. So when you wake up tomorrow morning and you think about Olam Haba in the morning, you're beginning the chain of blessing coming down. But in order to actually finally get it, you need to say enough. This is the chain of events. From the beginning until the end, this is how it works. This is why a Rasha, his belly is always lacking, but a tzaddik, he's only eating to satiate himself. Because he's constantly receiving shefa, because he's content with what he has. This is why it says in the pasuk,
The Rasha doesn't even think about it.
from the me'arot, from the light is lacking, corresponding to me'arat, curse of Hashem is on the house of the wicked. The righteous, however, because they possess this aspect of, they're always content with what they have physically, for them the light is always full. This is the aspect of, it said that when Hashem created the light, he said the light is good. And the good is nothing other than the tzaddik. Like it says in the pasuk, Yeshaya, say to the tzaddik that he's good. And what is his goodness? That he's always content with what he has physically. And because of that, he's able to receive all of Hashem's good. And even from this contentment itself, a person has to separate off some for tzedakah. Meaning, even we're saying to what level you need to be content. Not only do I need to be content with whatever I have, but on top of that, I also need to cut off 10% to give to tzedakah. This is also why the Torah is in an ark, because the ark is limiting the revelation of the Torah. The ark is the concept of the Brit. Whenever the Torah speaks about the Aron, which they carried it around in, the Torah is the light of Hashem, and it's being hidden within the Brit, which is the Aron. For the Ark of the Covenant, which is the aspect of the poor man, it's always beneath the curtain. The curtain provides the Ark of the Covenant. Okay? This being the aspect of tzedakah. And through the tzedakah that the giver provides for the receiver, there's a union made between the tzaddik and Knesset Yisrael, and this draws down blessing. This is the reason why when you give tzedakah, that's the ultimate aspect of limitation. I made money, I'm not just limiting myself, I'm giving some up. This is the ultimate aspect of Yesod, and this draws down major blessings in your life. Because this proves that you're satiated with whatever you have. You have enough, you believe in Hashem. Okay? We have a few minutes left. There's a lot more to say about this. Again, I know that we went very deep into these things. I could have made it a lot easier to understand. Maybe I should have. Tomorrow night we're going to continue to work at this. Tomorrow night we're all going to Rav Chaim Kramer's.
Is it a mixed thing or is it just?
I don't know.
are they gonna sing also like the last time?
I don't know. But it's going to be in a place called Ish Kodesh. very holy place. Rav Moshe Weinberg, you guys may have heard of him.
Where is it?
Isn't that Israel? Yeah.
No. So this is in the 5 towns. There's a flyer. I'm going to post it. We're all going tomorrow, Thursday night. We'll come back to the class together. But the class tomorrow should be awesome. It's free. You guys don't have to pay anything. We'll see in the flyer. Okay. So pretty much like this. Just as a quick review, and if you guys have any quick questions. When you wake up tomorrow morning, what should be your first thought? Olam Haba. Why? Because when you're mindful, that's Chokhmah. And when you think about Olam Haba, that's Bina. And when you're mindful of Olam Haba, you're creating a unity, which then is the beginning of drawing down Shefa. When do you finally get that Shefa? When you say enough, when you say die.
Each person has their own diet.
Yes, everybody has their own die. Anybody have any questions?
It's that diet.
Yes, everyone has their own
Ooh,
die.
and die has word die.
Anybody have any questions?
Was that the nutshell?
That was a nutshell. It was very, very nutshell. We also have in every single day a specific thought and a word and an action in that day which is going to allow you to come closer to Hashem, and that's different every day. That's what makes every day different. Is
You
that
know when it happens.
we didn't talk about that yet. That's tomorrow. I mean that's Thursday, okay? That's Thursday. Bezrat Hashem. We're going to discuss this. I'm trying to get you to come back to me. Yeah, you figured it out.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Everything is understood.
Yeah.
Another day, another dollar.
Everything understood.
Yes, quickly.
Is there a way to contact your family or anybody who's in charge of this program?
Yeah, I'll post the flyer. I'm sure that
There's no number.
there's no number on there. I'll try to find something.
Coming.
That's enough. Did you hear I said die? Anybody wants to give me any money, you're more than welcome to.
You know, a Russian bank means give.
Yeah, it means
Give me
get.
more.
Die means get. Oh, yeah.